So all of this first part of probability is revision, and it just talks about the words. So the words are going to become more and more important as you get into your 11 and 12. They're important now, but remember, you're going to have a test at the end of your 12 where I'm not writing it. You know what I'm saying? And the words are going to be the words on there, and if you don't know what they mean, then it's going to be bad. So a trial is a single experiment. Okay, so like when I flip a coin, that's a trial to see if it comes up head or tails. Okay, so one thing. And then let's keep going. A sample space is a list of all the outcomes of the experiment. So head, tail, that's the list, right? Or if I roll a die, then the sample space is that. Yeah, all the things that could come up. An outcome is a possible result. See, that seems to me like it's really close to the sample space, but it's just one thing. So heads is an outcome. Heads and tails is a sample space, right? So the sample space is a list of all the things. It's a list of all the possible outcomes. And an outcome is just one thing, like heads. Okay? An event is a collection of favorable outcomes. That's a silly thing. We'll talk about that later. Equally likely outcomes are outcomes that have the same chance of occurring. So when we're tossing a coin, we have a 50-50 chance, right? Equal chance, if the coin is proper from the mint, right? That it'll come up heads or tails. So an experiment that we do sometimes has equally likely outcomes, and sometimes it doesn't. So I could do an experiment where I get all the AA batteries in the school that I can find, and I put them in a bucket, and I test which ones have a charge, right? And maybe 95% of them have a charge, and 5% don't have a charge. So in that bucket, if I pick one out randomly, it's not 50-50. There's a lot more that don't have a charge, or that do have a charge that don't. So sometimes the experiment is weighted one way or the other, okay? In the study of probability, a numerical value based on a scale from 0 to 1 is used for chance. Okay, so if it's going to happen, so if I say, if I flip a coin, what's the probability that it comes up either heads or tails? You go, well, that's going to happen. It's going to be one of those. Or if I say, what's the probability? Well, I guess it could land on the edge, couldn't it? That's a really slight thing. Okay, let's use dice. What's the probability that I'm going to get a number that goes from 1 through 6? Absolutely, that's what's on a little cube die, right? If I say, what's the probability that I'm going to roll a 7 with one die? It's possible, 0. Do you remember this from your 9? Good. Okay, the probability of an event occurring. This is the biggie. Okay, experimental probability, that's a totally different thing. That's like if we sat here and we flipped a coin 20 times. Do you think it would come up heads 10 times and tails 10 times? No, we would expect that it would, but it doesn't, because a coin doesn't have a memory, right? So it does what it wants. So maybe I would get 8 heads and 2 tails, and then my experimental probability would be totally different. It would be, the probability of getting a head would be 8 over 2, or 8 over 10, right? So experimental probability is very different, and usually for experimental probability, there's some kind of table or list of data, okay? So these use a table or a list. We'll do one in a minute. Okay, so example. A letter is chosen from the word television. Find the probability that the letter is. Okay? What do you have to do first? Because I need to do the total number of things. So I need to count the letters in the word. All of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, there are 10. So A the probability of getting a V, and I write it like that, the probability of getting a V. I have it over 10. How many V's are in there? 1. I can write it as a fraction. That's how I always write it. Or you could write it as a decimal, 0.1 if you want. Yep. I can, Sonny. Sorry. All right. Let's try B and E. So I write my little notation, probability of getting an E. I know there's 10, so that's always on the bottom. How many E's? 2. And then I should simplify it. Two on there. Okay, so I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 3. 1, 2, 3. Leave it. Turn this on. Right, a trial, remember, is 1 experiment. So it gets you the number of trials if you add those up. This one, they told me it already, so it would be stupid if I worried about adding those up, but sometimes they don't tell you. Okay, 0 heads. Tell me the probability. $100? Yeah? So it's the total experiments down here, and however many there were here. Sorry. I should put a little heads in there. The probability of getting 2 is 36 over 100, and I would simplify it. Is something wrong? No? Okay. Fewer than 2 is 1 and 0, so 51. I could go like this. Less than 2 heads. Or write, I don't care if you write probability of fewer than 2 heads. You can always put words in there as well. And so that's 51 over 100. At least 1. What's that? What's at least 1? 1 and 2 and 3? Okay. 1 or 2 or 3 heads. See how you can write stuff in there? You can write it any way you want as long as it means. Say it again, honey? Yeah, I could go probability of greater than 1? 0? Greater than 0? Or, yeah, less than or equal to 1? Greater than or equal to 1, sorry. That's fine, you can write those. If you get that, if that's confusing to you, don't use it. Use this one. What is it? 89? And just check to see if you can simplify it. I don't think so.